Boom.
All right, folks, welcome to another call with the Mavericks. It's me, Lee, it's Jan, and it's Peacher. Shall we give him a cheesy wave? Hey, folks.
Hey.
So today we are going to do what we do best, which is check out somebody's website and give them some feedback. We want to point out what they're doing really well as what they could improve on, because this is not three people who are just going to rip something apart. And I would think I speak for all of us that we are highly jealous of the amazing life that the people in this particular website seem to be having. So with that said, what we would love for you to do is to show them some love. So the website we will be looking at is in the comments. It's called A Lovely Planet. You can click on that link as a pinned comment. But what I would really love it for you to do is if you could go ahead and show them some love on Instagram and follow them at Lovely Planet on Instagram, and also check out their YouTube channel as well. They have 89 subscribers. It would be awesome to bump them over the 100 because they've got some great videos of what they get up to. So if you've never watched us before, like I said, we are going to spend some time now taking a look at this particular website, and we'll be looking at things like speed. We'll be looking at the user experience, the UI, the design, and also talking about some of the content strategy as well. And that is focused primarily on the website, but also on all of the supporting social media around it. And the way this normally rolls is we will hand over to Peacher, who initially will start to give us some of her sage wisdom on the UX. And Peacher, could we start with the homepage? Because I think there is a lot that she talked about on the homepage.
Yes,
so
totally.
Peacher is going to share her screen, I believe.
So,
all right.
This is what you get when you get to the homepage. Then I feel like, so it's Haley and Enrico, and this is
gorgeous.
So much, I know, gorgeous. They have some really gorgeous photos. So that's the first thing that I would say. That look how gorgeous this train is. The photo of the train, I just love it. So nice. So sorry, I'm just going to go back to the website. So the thing that, if you have followed us and in general and me in particular for a while, what I always say when I land on a web page is, what do you want your visitor to do? Where do you want them to go? What's the purpose for them to be on their website, for them, and also for you? Where do you want them? And in this case, there isn't one. So I would say, and this is specifically more a UX issue, meaning that what experience do you want me to have when I land on your website? And also here, there's so much incredible content. I can't wait to properly dive in and read up, and just this. I want to do all these trips. They've had an amazing few years, and it's and also Haley's passion is contagious. Just a brilliant website. But that's the thing that I would suggest, that there isn't anywhere for me to go or anything to do, and I'm given the choice. I love the grid. I am a sucker for grids like this, full width grids with nice images on the grid. And actually, this is Italy here on the road, tips for a nomadic lifestyle. That's definitely somewhere in northern Italy.
Yeah.
I want to say, I wanted to say where, but maybe I won't. But I think it's somewhere in maybe in Veneto. But anyway, lovely photos. The text is just about readable. People who know me well would say that probably I would make the overlay darker so that you can read it better. But I think that the main thing about this homepage is that Haley, you need to really decide what you want people to do, because I really don't know. I mean, I know that you want Allah. I actually love the icons. I usually, you guys, you know me really well. You know that I usually say avoid animations, but this is cute. And it makes it look active, and it stops. Animations that stops are absolutely fine, because it's not bothering me. It's not very. So here it goes to itineraries, and I imagine that it's showing something that's a bit longer, and reviews. But that's the first decision that I would make. What do you want your users to do? What's the purpose of this website? I don't know. Beyond the fact that it's sharing incredibly useful information for us, and your passion and love for travel, I don't know why you're doing this. Then also I would say that, just as an observation, the logo, as lovely as it is, it's not a good choice as a logo, in my opinion, because it's way too complex. So it works when it's as big as this, but then when it's as big as this, you get a lot of real estate up here. I mean, I don't mind the white space. I think it's good. It gives a breather. But the recommendation is to never have a logo that's way too detailed. Look at it in the tab here. It kind of completely disappears. You can't read it at all. So as lovely as it is, keep the lovely illustration, but have also a logo that's super, super simple so that it makes it more readable at smaller sizes. Because also this is a watercolor, so it can't be a vector. So that's another observation. Then let's go. Where do you want me to go, guys? Where should I go?
Well,
Look at this. I want to go everywhere.
I do have another question about the homepage. Peter, what do you think about the fact that the website is full width? Like I'm on a 4K screen now, and the images span across 3,840 pixel wide. Is that something you would recommend usually, or is it something that people should rather keep the website boxed in like 1,000?
I love it. No, I love it. I what you need to box is the text, and that's something that they're not doing, and I'm gonna talk about that in a minute when we go into a post. But the fact that the images are I'm not gonna resize my window because obviously we're on Zoom and I don't want to mess things up, but I am a sucker for foot width images, and in fact they don't do that in the blog, and I would do it, because also these days it really depends on where their audience is. If they know that their audience is somewhere that has decent internet, their audience will want the images, because some of these images are gorgeous. You know, you do want to see them, and a good travel blog, as they know really well, is all about good photography, because there are so many travel blogs out there. And I think that the reason why this one is different and is really great is because it has good photography, great content, so much passion, and also the social media following is great. The Instagram account is really good. I have lovely videos as well. So I think that the photos make the difference. And in fact, when we go into a post,
before we do go any further, though, I do have a little bit of thought on this as well. You were saying, what do people want to do? I agree with everything you've said, but only because part of my job was to look through this website, and really deep dive. When I first looked at this, though, if this was a website I'd have landed on from a link, say on an Instagram channel, etc., of somebody I didn't initially know, with the titles of things like the best Sydney speakeasy bars or the best diving, those sorts of titles with those sorts of images, as well as the advertisements I was seeing everywhere, it felt like one of those, those sites that are just forced on you, like those pop-up sites that are full of
slightly scammy sites.
Because I didn't know who the people were behind this, and there wasn't any kind of introductory text to say, "Hey, I'm Haley." If you go to the about page, there's actually a few of them involved. It's not just Haley. There's some other couples and friends.
Oh, are there? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. But none of that was on the homepage. So this felt initially like this was maybe just like a big website that was using an RSS feed to pull in tons of stuff and push affiliates. That was my initial impression if I had never landed on this.
That is a very, very, very good point. No, absolutely not. It's a very good point. So one further reason to have something on the homepage. Basically, the best recommendation that I can give is to really think about your audience, and I'm sure that you, Lee, agree very much with that. Think about who your audience is, do a user persona or more than one if necessary, and think what would be an engaging experience for them. And I can think of so many ways that you could do that. You could have even a quiz or a grid saying because they have so many destinations and itineraries, Europe, Africa, Asia. And I mean, not just if you look Europe, there's like 10 places, Africa only 2, but never mind. And Asia, there's another 10 places. There's lots to look at. So just have even just the continents, maybe. What do you feel like today? Something like that. And then let's go, because I'm going into Southeast Asia next week, not diving, but I am going there. So it's like, I want to go. So here, I think, again, is one place where the layout lets you down a little bit. I think that's kind of what you two, Lee and Jan, were saying as well, wasn't it? Because this type of layout with the ads on the right is typical kind of, it's not, I've seen much worse, to be fair, but it's not a great thing. I mean, look at how much content there is here. Oh, I've been to the Similan Islands. They're amazing. Look how much content there is. I love this. This is brilliant. The fact that there's a content, an index. I can't find the better word. It's an index, isn't it? Well, list of content.
Like an anchor index that's going to stroll you down the page, and then you have to go back.
Fabulous. It's great. But look at that. I can get to, if I want to go to Ambon, then, look at this. Oh my God. It's so great, isn't it? Love it. So sorry, I get really excited about travel.
That's a really good practice in those long posts, though, to have a table of.
It is. It's brilliant. That's brilliant UX and brilliant UI. You're giving me a great experience, and you're doing it in a really sensible way. What I would recommend, though, this is where you do want to box, because the text here has a couple of issues, which are that it spans the whole width. No way. This needs to be boxed. It should be maybe 900 pixels, maybe. I mean, 860, something like that. Not wider, because the eye gets completely lost trying to follow. And also the type is too tiny. I know that your audience is young, probably, but I'm your audience as well, because I want to go diving. And also, even you'd be really, really surprised about how many people, regardless of age, are would struggle reading such a tiny typeface. And you definitely need a wider line height as well, definitely. So I would say that that's best practice, basic typography recommendations. Also, although I love this font, I think it might be a Google font. I can't remember the name of it, but it's a lovely font. But I'm not sure, and it's good for short bits of text, but I'm not, because it's very playful and it's very, very simple. And that means that there's a few shapes that look a little bit like the same. So the O, especially at this size, look at this. I mean, for me, the O and the A have very little difference at this size.
Also, looking at the following they have on A Lovely Planet, for example, they don't just attract a younger audience. There seems to be a wide range of 40 to say 60 to 70-year-olds as well who are traveling. I've clicked on a few profiles here on Instagram, so I can see, yes, they're attracting a young audience, but there equally are a lot of people who are older,
exactly,
who are consuming their content and actually interacting with some of these posts.
And I'm one of them, because I am, I'm a new follower, without a doubt.
You're post 30 now, aren't you?
Yeah.
Briefly.
Darling. So what I would recommend also, it looks a little bit, basically this is what I think it is, and then they correct me if I'm wrong, but what it looks like to me is that this is not really designed. They started this website, they have great content, and they wanted to get it done, so they just did it, which hats off to them. That's the way to do it. It's absolutely, don't be a perfectionist. Take imperfect action, without a doubt. But with a nice layout, with all these images, I think it would be gorgeous. And even having space. So I love the content laid out like this, but maybe having a sidebar as a bit of a navigation aid with a long post such as this, that might help. Or even using tabs. I mean, there are so many layout opportunities here, and I would definitely look at these photos.
Would you recommend they opted for a gallery for certain things? So because there's a lot of images, it creates a lot of scroll. Would it be better for some of these things, because I can't get an idea of all of the content that's on this page? Would it be better to have, say, a thumbnail gallery that allows me to then peruse through these sorts of things?
I think it's a good idea. I like grids, like the grid that I have on the homepage, but smaller. So you can tell, and there are so many that are really well designed.
The cool thing, I guess, about the grid is you could kind of combine that with the anchor link, couldn't you, to send them down to the area. So if you had some sort of grid, because they are very visual. YouTube and on Instagram, it's extremely visual.
Look at this. I can't. I mean, it just makes me want to be underwater right now. Look at that.
Well, it doesn't make me want to be underwater.
Baby water crawfish. It makes me. No, I am. I just love it. Look at this.
I'd be there watching you underwater.
So yes, I think there could be.
Sorry, carrying on.
sorry, Peter. What about having like this floating sidebar on the left? Like, say, I assume they're monetizing the website through the ads and the booking affiliate form in the sidebar. What if that would just be floating along in the posts at least? I mean, the other pages aren't as much content, but for the posts, it would make total sense, I think.
Absolutely, it would. That's a really good idea. Yeah. So a bit more of a layout, and maybe look at how other, mind you, I can't think of a good travel website. They're really because the travel websites also are the typical ones that rely on ads to make money, and generally speaking, that doesn't make for good UX. But just look at what I always say is look at newspapers. Look at how newspapers do it. They have the Guardian newspaper is a brilliant newspaper to always look at because they have an incredible amount of content and they resolve it so well. So whenever you for websites with a lot of content, I will look at newspapers. Because they do the work for you basically. Yeah.
So would that would say The Economist website from memory as well has an awful lot of information on and very visual, and then they can split that up into sections. So if I believe this is a WordPress website, so if they were able to use something like Elementor or Beaver Builder, etc., they'd actually be able to create some nice layouts for this content, because this looks and feels like a Microsoft Word copy and paste, doesn't it? And it's just one long piece of content. So as gorgeous as these images are,
let's have a look at another one.
Undersold, aren't they?
Okay, Yes, basically, exactly.
Peter, what do you think about the ads in the sidebar over to what I see sometimes on blogs is that the ads are in the content rather than on the sidebar, making the layout much cleaner?
Well, I have to say, sometimes when they are in, it really depends on the site, because sometimes when they are in the content, they're unbearable because they clash with the layout so much, and they follow you around and they make you feel really suffocated. So one thing that I actually do like about this is that because they're in the sidebar and they're not sticky, so you go down and they're not there anymore, and that I'm grateful for. I see what you mean, but then I would do it in a stylish way. So I'd have like a horizontal strip, maybe of a different color background, and then you put the ads there. So it creates a differentiation, because what happens on a lot of websites that have ads is that they just slap them in the middle, and they are content that looks nothing like the blog content. So it's a clash and it flashes, and at least these don't move and they are not intrusive because they don't go all the way down. But same thing is,
I was just wondering if the ads in the content will get better click-through rates, assuming monetization
for them, maybe
is on click rather than impressions. I don't know that.
Yeah. It would be interesting to know about their stats really. But again, here there's no. It feels like it's something that sort of was. Default with this site, and there's, like you see, there's no padding here, none. And then also one thing that I would recommend for I like that the menus, well, it's not great. The menu is the same color. I mean, it gets quite confusing when I go to the drop down menus because it's white on white. So I would also change that. But because they have so many categories, it would be nice to have a way to get them that's not just the menu here. So I would say. Do
you mean like breadcrumbs and stuff like that as well?
Breadcrumbs or, buttons, things like that. Maybe again, use the sidebar for that. But here again, this is not, as you were saying, Lee, it's a little bit copy and paste. Just there's a photo on the back, which is not clickable, and the text on the right. In a way, to me, a travel website is the one such fun to lay out. And actually, I have done a couple, and it was such fun because I get really excited about that because I come from editorial. I worked with books for so many years, and so organizing content is something that I love doing. It gets the sort of the library geek alive in me. But at the same time, they're the most difficult if you're someone who doesn't do this professionally, because, which I don't know if they do, by the way, maybe they are. But if you're trying to make money doing other things, let's say, and you're not a specialist in this, then they're also at the same time, precisely because you have so much content, they are difficult. So it would be really good. Do we have Facebook comments? Because it would be really interesting to see whether they're on at all. If Hayley and
I have been checking to see if Hayley's there, but I've not seen her in the Facebook comments as yet.
I've seen that they live in Australia, so I doubt that they're fast asleep.
So as a quick win, because well, not necessarily a quick win because they've got a lot of content, but I was just having a look, and there it does appear like if they did have Elementor Pro, there is a travel site kit template in there which will give them some really gorgeous layouts. So I'll ping you this link in the chat if you see that.
Yeah.
And you were to click on that. I don't know whether that is something that might give her a quick win, because that gives her a combination of really nice typography. It still gives you this full kind of the full width, etc. Yeah, you found it. There you go.
Yeah.
So it still gives her the full width, but you've got that nice typography. She can showcase images much better like that. And it's still got that white, clean look, this young sort of look. And then that might give us some sort of fast forward to it. Sorry, Karen.
Would be interesting to know what the people watching this think about the Elementor travel kit rather than the main theme. I mean, it's the three of us right here, but we also have 75 people watching right now, which is amazing. Thanks everybody for attending, by the way. Just interested to hear what other people think.
Is there this animation that's not stopping? I'm going to have to go somewhere else.
Well, just scroll down and it'll stop.
But I want to see the demo. Where's the demo? Do we have it? Oh, here we go. Okay, maybe here.
I don't know if there's a demo or whether they're just trying to hide it.
I don't think so. I've just had a look.
It's a shame.
In the background, I've done some research on the theme that Hayley is using, the Sauron theme. And on a side note, I'm not sure if I'm understanding this correctly, what the homepage of the theme says, but they say sales and support for the themes are closed. So Hayley, that's not a good position to be in with your theme.
No.
You don't want a theme that is not being actively supported and developed. And Jeffrey
that's a very good
said
point.
That the font is way too small. Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we've said. Yeah. And it goes too long, and it's too simple a typeface. You need something that has less ambiguous shapes, where the A looks different from the O and so on.
So the reason why I sent you this link, Peter, was just that from these thumbnails, as an example, I was trying to draw from you really is this the sort of thing you're looking at them talking about, where they've got some bold titles, better uses of imagery, and a better layout for their text. So the text is more readable, but the imagery is far quicker accessible. They don't have to use this. Yeah, I'm guessing though that, like you said, that they wanted to get a website live, quickly. I'm guessing they did that with that older theme. I was thinking that perhaps if they have that busy lifestyle, something like this might be more helpful to them to be able to use some sort of starter pack.
Absolutely. Completely agree. But what I would also recommend is, and I'm sure that you, from the marketing point of view, would agree, Lee, is to do the target audience work anyway, because that's only gonna work for you. It's only gonna give you good ideas, and it's only gonna help your business without a doubt.
Yeah.
But
100%. Yeah, do it the full way with the professionals if you can. But if this was just something that they were on the road to, even if it's just for design inspiration, I didn't know if that was helpful.
Yeah. See, look at this photo, isn't it? It's great. It's just so lovely. So lovely. Yeah. So there's so much that is great, but it's not also okay. So there are other people, but I think Hayley and Erika are the
they're the main two, especially on the Instagram channel. Two. And then Sarah and James are also, so they do a lot of the underwater photography. So they all travel together.
Great.
And I think what's happening is that they're very often they'll be together or they'll be separate, etc. If you see at the bottom left hand side where they've got the Instagram feed, you can kind of see a mixture of them all. Bottom left hand side there, that's the Instagram feed, so you can see some of them together. So it looks like sometimes they travel alone and sometimes they travel separately, etc. So I'm assuming that underwater photography is from the other couple. So I'm getting an idea of who all the people are, but it would be so lovely if I could get that from the homepage. I think I was trying to say that earlier is get that idea instantly from the homepage, or if I've come from Instagram, so I already am aware of these different people, being able to see them on the homepage again, above the fold when I first land in there. I know I'm still on this journey with those people. That's what this website is all about. This is our journey. You can have a journey like this too. Here's access to tips and itineraries and reviews and all of that amazing stuff. So I think having them in those shots that are on social media as well would be super useful, I think, at this point.
Yeah, I completely agree. Very, very good tips.
But one thing that they've done really well on the website is, at least on the homepage, I've got a fully loaded time of 4 seconds right now. So even with all these images that look amazing, so they aren't compressed that much, they've managed to make the website load really quickly. So that is.
Shall we move to that?
Really good.
Jan, do you want to share your stats?
Yeah, if I'm not cutting off anything on your end.
No, that's fine, because I think we've said quite a bit about the interface.
All right.
Unless someone who's watching has any questions, please do ask, or observations.
Will you carry on for now, Jan, and I'll keep my eye on the comments.
Yeah, sounds really good. All right. So I'll take over then from Picha when she stops sharing her screen.
Oh, do I need to stop? You can't get it.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. All righty. So 1 second. All right. So I think the screen should be up and running now.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
On your 4K monitor.
Let me go. Perfect. I think the font size is big enough as well now. So as I've said, the main website, the homepage, is loading in 4 seconds, which is a really good effort for all the images that are in there. But there are still images that are way too big. So as you can see, the website is 7.6 megabytes. So that's humongous.
I can see one that's a megabyte there.
Yeah, there. Just this one is a megabyte. Then we have another one here that's a megabyte. And then we have a few that are really big as well. So I would see if, Haley, if I were you, I would try to compress those images a bit more. Also, in terms of optimizing, you've done a really good job at reducing the number of requests on the homepage, but there are still things loading that shouldn't load there. So for example, the Google API for Google Maps. I don't think you have a Google Map on the homepage, if I'm not mistaken.
I didn't see one.
No, me neither.
And if it was there, then you should take it out because there's no.
Yeah.
I do know there is a plugin for WordPress where you can use a Google Map, and if you activate it, the plugin's not that well coded. It just literally loads that everywhere. So that when they use the short code, the map loads. So if it's that particular plugin, that name I can't remember, then she probably wants to switch.
Yeah, but even if she has that, there's a plugin called, I think, Asset Control, something like that, that lists all the scripts that load on a given page or post, and then you can simply tick boxes to load or unload them. So,
is that the one that you can do for just this page? So you could actually disable it for everything by default. That's clever. I love that one.
Yeah. So that is really helpful. Also, let me switch to a post right now rather than the home page, because the post is much more interesting. As you can see, the homepage is 4 seconds. The post was 17.5. That is the 3 days in Burgundy. And the requests are almost 100 requests more than on the homepage. So what's interesting there is that there are all sorts of things loading that aren't on the homepage. So we have like 3 different map types. We have Google Maps on the homepage. Then there's Alpaca Maps, whatever that is. And we have Mapbox.
It's Alpaca. So when we were looking at the diving post, it's I think it must be a dependency from someone who does diving maps. Maybe, I don't know.
Okay, yeah. So Haley, you definitely want to clean that up and reduce it. There's also tigerlily.com.au, and spell.co. There's Typekit for fonts rather than the Google Maps. There's more Alpaca Maps. Then we have Google fonts as well, not just the Typekit fonts. We have the Twitter integration. We have more resources that probably go, they are affiliate flexi fonts. So that is CSS code that's, I think, related to affiliate scripts going on there. Then we have more Twitter. And this is just a plain old mess. So I don't want to be harsh here. I mean, that's probably not your profession, but reducing the number of different third-party services that you have on the website will certainly help speed up those 17.5 seconds loading times, because I mean the content is fantastic. We've already talked about that. Also, we have the issue with the images again, that the images are too big on the posts as well. We can save, I mean, that's 60 kilobytes. I will probably ignore that. But
what's your best suggestion? Because this is something that someone who's not technical will need help with, because they're not going to want taking the images down. I mean, re-uploading optimized images. I mean, from now on, optimize them. But
but for the ones you have in there,
Smash
yes, Smash or EWWW would be a good one. WP Compress is one of the best ones that I've used so far, but that's a paid one. Also, when she's uploading images, she should make sure that they are uploaded in the right resolution. So we have this image, for example. Let me open that up. This gorgeous city photograph right here that is uploaded in 2000 pixel by 1365, and it is shown on the website by 1000 pixel, 120.
Wow! So
that's
over half.
It's not being optimized.
Big. Yeah, it's twice as big as it needs to be. So obviously there has to be some sort of balance here, because the image resolution obviously makes the website live. The images look so stunning because they are uploaded in this size and in this quality. So there has to be this trade-off, and the has to be a fine balance that she needs to strike here, with not over optimizing the images and taking away from their awesomeness.
Can I ask a dumb question?
Of course.
So lazy load, does that affect things? So because she's got images all the way down the page, has she got lazy load activated? Would you know?
I think so. I think she does, because when I opened this page, the images came up as I scrolled down.
Right. Okay. So lazy load's there, but that still would cause that 17. Because I thought in my silly, I thought that the way that worked was that the page would load in a second, and then the rest of the images would load as you scroll.
Yeah.
So that would still mean you had a fast load time.
Yeah,
I'm obviously wrong.
Lazy load you can see lazy load in action on the home page.
Yeah.
There's no way 7 megabytes page loads in 4 seconds without lazy load.
Yeah. Jan, can you maybe explain what lazy load is? Because Haley may not know what we're talking about. And also, by the way, I'm noticing that Alpaca is maps, and every post seems to have these maps.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, yes.
Lazy load basically means that, I've reduced the layout in code in Chrome just to see how 1000 pixel wide content would look like. So that's not the original. Let me just reload. That's the original site. And the images, as you can see, you maybe saw this, that the image just showed up as I scrolled down. So you can see this image as well, and the map loaded only as I scrolled down. That is lazy loading, basically, in action. And there is a plugin,
which is good.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a good job that she's done that.
Yeah.
And there's a plugin called A3 Lazy Load that I usually implement on websites. There is WP Rocket who has Lazy Load integrated.
Yeah.
As I've said, those pictures, they are amazing. They are fantastic, but I think they are too big on the website, and they also could be converted into WebP format. rather than JPEGs.
Also, I think that here again is where the layout can help you, because like this, they are kind of, I like I said, I do like big images, but like this, they're a bit lost because all it is just a list of, it's text followed by image followed by text, and it's just, you're not really helping the reader so much. So more attention to the layout, I think, would help that as well.
Yeah. I mean, I'm convinced that a gallery at the very top of the page should be there that gives you an idea of all of the content you're about to scroll down and see. Because I have absolutely no idea what I'm going to see, and if I get halfway down, I mean, see how small the screen, the scroll is there. I might not have the patience and therefore miss some of the amazing content. So I do think, and I guess potentially as well, if you're opting for a more gallery approach with text, etc., then you can opt for. You've got your thumbnails, which are obviously going to be a lot smaller. And then equally, when she's uploading or adding these images, we've had a comment from Ross McDonald who put over a good point that she could be using WP size settings. So I don't know whether her theme allows that, but she could be saying that all the images on this page will be of large size, which should put them into about 1000 by 1000 rough size.
And Jonathan had a good point as well, to use source set in the image attributes, again, if the theme supports it. Otherwise, it would be like custom coding to add that. Or I'm not sure. I don't remember a plugin on the top of my head that would add source set attributes. So
could you tell us what they are as well? Because I don't actually know what you mean.
Okay, so source set.
And I build websites.
Source set basically is a way where you can tell the website or the browser in the code to load certain versions of an image depending on the browser width. So you would upload like an image in 300
so I did know that,
600,
but I didn't know it was called that.
And then in 1000 pixels, and then you give the dimensions of the browser for which dimension to load which image.
Perfect. Yep, I get you.
Yeah, so those are the most important things that I wanted to touch on in the technical review. There was an issue with Google Tag Manager integration as well. Let me see if I can find that. I think on the homepage there was, so there's a Google Tag Manager resource not loading properly, which causes 700 milliseconds. So that's not fun. Other than that, Lee, I think you've had another site submitted in the comments to us, so maybe we should switch to that page if you don't have.
Let me just wrap this up then. So for this website, what we've talked about, if you scroll to the homepage, what we've talked about is that this website, some of the positives are that there are good things like fast loading. Peter, do you mind just muting? Sorry, it's coming through
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
No worries. So what we've learned here is that there's a lot of things right about this website. There's beautiful imagery, so a lot of care taken with the imagery, great grid system so that we can take a look at what's going on, etc. Fast loading on certain pages, which is great, but obviously there are a whole lot of improvements. Some of the key points we were talking about, especially with regards to the content here on this homepage, is being able to see who it is involved so that we can carry on our journey, especially if we've followed these people from social media to this website, or from YouTube, etc. Then we want to be able to see who it is involved so we can go on the journey with them. We then had a whole lot of feedback from Picho, especially from things around the font sizes, the style of font could be potentially updated. We took a look as well at an example of an Elementor theme, not necessarily for them to clone or anything, but just to give them an idea of kind of fonts that they could go for, and also the layouts of the imagery. We also talked about here, this is a great example where we said how cool that scroller was, and yet there are no way for people to be able to see what sort of amazing content is going to be in the post, etc. So we talked about the potential for a grid, like a gallery or something along those lines, which was awesome. And we also talked about just having some sort of thought with the layout. And again, we looked at that example from the Elementor layout. With regards to things like speed as well, Jan gave you massive kudos, Haley, because you've done a lot of things right, which is awesome. But equally, there are a few things that you could definitely do to improve, especially around the images, etc. And we will make sure that we drop links to all of the plugins that were mentioned in the comments, so you can take a look at that. And also as well, please feel free to reach out. Now, everyone who's watching, if you're still here, there's a whole load of you. That's phenomenal. Please, can you show Haley some love? She's got amazing pictures. Go ahead and follow her over on Instagram. Now, we want to do something cool and random, which is check out a link that was submitted to us during this show. So if you are one of the awesome people who rocks up with us live, you never know, we might pick you. So
but if you're not, then you can always submit your website. Yeah,
then you can always submit your website. Indeed. So what we would love to do then is take a look. Oh, I did have one last thing I wanted to say for Haley as well. Phenomenal videos. They definitely need to be showcased on the website as well, so that you can drive people to your different assets. You've got your different multimedia. All right, so that is done, folks. Let's hit. This is a wild card, so we've not had any time to prepare. We have been given this, and the words we were told was "be brutally honest."
It's built with Elementor. The screen share, Lee.
No, well, you can see it there. It's fine. I don't have it open. If I do, my computer, I think, will go to sleep.
Already.
As in, I've got a million fans.
Let me start with the boring technical stuff then.
Yeah, show us how you do it. That's wicked.
Yeah, so I just run this through GTmetrix. I would usually select the location that's closest to the web server the page is hosted on, but I don't know that, so I'll just go with the default and use Dallas, USA. And then that's a boring waiting time basically right now.
It's a cool little animation. I like that.
I'm trying to find center text so that each has something to talk about. I did a good job here on GTmetrix.
There always is center text. In fact, amazing. We didn't get any center. Haley didn't have any center text. Well done.
Yes, you did great.
Except
Probate Stars
like
does.
The main titles. Yeah.
There's center text straight away.
Oh, this is a fantastic example on how those scores do not reflect the loading time whatsoever.
Huh? Really? Yes, absolutely.
"2 seconds," but I get a C. So what would our answers be?
I have this one analysis screenshot shared, saved, that has A and like a 90-second load time. So that's hilarious, and I always send that to clients. And the reason is I'm not an expert on how those scores exactly are calculated. I mean that's proprietary knowledge for Google and Yahoo. But basically they check for those things to be done, like is browser caching enabled. That's just a header that you would set in an htaccess or something, and then they check how many requests the page has, and any headers set that help expire content. Are the components compressed? And basically what that means is you have CSS files and you have JavaScript files, and those can be compressed. So you're literally taking out new lines, you're literally taking out white spaces from those files to make the file size smaller, which web servers can do automatically. And
so by ticking a load of these boxes, you're going to get those good scores, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the page load time is going to be great.
It doesn't mean at all that the page is loading quickly. So I'm super excited to go into this waterfall model, because I mean, 1 megabyte and 13 requests sounds like it should load blazing fast.
It 0.9.
In 0.5 seconds, if I'm not mistaken. And the reason is... another good example. I love this page. Thanks for submitting. The reason why this loads so long is because there's a CDN enabled. So you would think a content delivery network actually reduces loading time, but I've seen every so often that a CDN actually increases loading time massively. Wow. And as we can see right here, there's a CDN that's probably even the Cloudways CDN. I'm not too sure about this, and that's not something that's an issue with just the Cloudways CDN, but with any CDN, that the CDN takes 2.55 seconds to load a simple JPEG image. And that image is 400 kilobytes. There's no way the Cloudways web server would take 2.5 seconds to deliver a 400 kilobyte image to the website. And that is because, as you can see on the tooltip right now, there's 1.6 seconds waiting time from the browser establishing the connection to the CDN and then waiting on the CDN to even start transferring the data back to the browser.
Jeffrey said it is a Cloudways CDN.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's Jeffrey who submitted the site.
Depending on where your target audience is, if that location is
which is America,
centered,
it looks to me like it's the North America.
Well, I'm
California,
reading
Florida, and Texas.
Yeah, I thought it was because I was reading this in an American accent in my head. So,
all right. So, if that's not too distributed, which it doesn't sound like it is, I would probably try running it without a CDN.
Yeah, see what happens. Yeah. So I'm surprised then. So what we're saying,
that's really interesting,
is that because the CDN, so that there is sometimes a delay where the CDN's like, oh, where shall I serve this from, etc., and it will actually add time. That's insane. I'd never heard of that. Because I'm impressed because there's quite a lot of images as well, mind you. Again, that's using lazy load as I scroll down on the website.
And he's done a really good job of optimizing the website. I mean, 1 megabyte and 13 requests. My website doesn't have that. No. Certainly doesn't. But
I love that it's got cats. I found cats.
Kudos to Jeffrey.
Yeah. So the CDN would probably be my first point of trying how to optimize the page. I was expecting to see many like third-party scripts that take up the loading time, like Facebook Pixel or Google Pixel or something like that. But he doesn't have those whatsoever. That's a really good job.
Is that a good job with regards to there's no way of seeing whether this website is being successful, though? Like if I've not got those tools activated, that's not necessarily a good thing, is it?
Depends on how he's measuring success, I guess. I mean, obviously, if you plan to run ads on Facebook or on Google, I would hit that pixel sooner than later.
Mm-hmm.
But
oh my God, there's lots of cats and dogs I'm finding.
if he's not intentionally running any ads on Facebook, then he doesn't need that pixel.
I guess this looks like it's so this looks like a very content hungry website. There is an awful lot, so I presume this is a battle to get eyeballs on the screen to read, for SEO, etc. So there's an awful lot of content in here. So I imagine it is. Therefore, I imagine you would want to. I can see they've got Google Analytics activated. I'm taking a look at builtwith.com. But I wasn't seeing anything to do with pixels, etc. Hey, they've got your A3 lazy load that you recommended activated as well. So that's a good one, Jeffrey. We're impressed with the speed. I'm sure there is a font feedback for this particular page that Peter is itching to share.
And it's a nice.
So
seems to be an Elementor-based website, right?
It is, yeah.
So what I can say about this is that obviously incredible amount of content. So and I'm also looking, there's really quite a bit of thought in choosing the photography. I find the photography also all kind of a bit too enhanced too much. Shall I share?
Yeah.
If you want to switch over.
Share? So maybe I'll share my screen now. So I'm going to share my screen.
Please hold. We are.
Your call is important to us. Go. Please hold. So let's go to their homepage. So if I get to just here, my immediate impression, they said to not hold back. So I think that you're letting yourself down by having so much amazing content that I'm sure is unbelievably useful, but you're not doing enough for your brand. This is the logo. The logo is not even that bad, but it's a little bit too big. And then you're using your default serif font, which is Times New Roman, and also centered. People know that I don't like centered text ever. But apart from that, you again, similar to what I said about A Lovely Planet, is that it's not clear. You say welcome to Probate Stars, but that doesn't really mean anything. What do you want people to do? How do you measure success? Where do you want your users to go? We know that you use content. You obviously you believe in content marketing, but if there isn't anywhere for them to go or any way for you to measure the success of, because there's no way of capturing anything here that I can see. So That's the first thing. But then the second thing is also that if I see this, just what you're seeing right now, it doesn't look trustworthy to me, because there is no branding thought behind it and no design. Then if I go down, I think, oh, that looks different. I immediately have a different impression, because it's a lovely grid. You have obviously taken the time to choose the photography. Personally, I find all this a little bit too vivid. Like, this is clearly not true colors. And although it's nice, but don't overdo it, because otherwise it becomes a little bit too unreal. So this is and I can only imagine how it's amazing amounts of content. It's just incredible how much there is out here. So again, here,
that is Boston. Yeah, that's a picture of Boston. I love that place.
I haven't been. It looks beautiful, but again, I find it's a little bit too enhanced, the photo. I'm also a photographer, so I would recommend just doing it, because also it's on the verge of having I can't remember the technical term, just doesn't come to me now. Anyway, it doesn't matter. However, when I see this, it's sort of a bit spoiled by the top bit, which needs designing, and it's not designed. But I love the full width image, and I love the fact, it works much better to me. But don't use the sans serif font. Give it a little bit of thought and do something about up here, because all the content effort that you're making really deserves some design thinking, giving some time to the design. Saying observation, the text is way too wide. The size is kind of all right, but the width is way too wide. You need to make it smaller, because also I don't imagine that your target audience is that young. So maybe it is. I mean, I don't know, but
what do you mean? Us young'uns love reading this sort of stuff.
yeah, of course. It's most popular on Instagram. But whether you're actually about this age is relevant. The eye doesn't get to the end of the line when you don't contain the width. And because you are using categories. So if I go back to the homepage and to that grid, you've got Florida. Basically, it's divided by state.
It's by state. So there's a state searcher somewhere as well, and you can also find your state at the top left.
Menu.
Super useful. Useful.
Might need highlighting.
Yeah. Or you could have a sidebar here with the other states, if that's what you want. Because also I can see here you've got different types of things. You've got spousal rights, inheritance, litigation, trust, planning. It's really good that you have a search. There's a slight UI issue here. There's like CSS issue. Yeah. But it's good that you have a search a feature. This looks like something from 1999, to be completely honest.
Yeah, that section, because there's no color, etc.
This section. Yeah. It's not so much the no color, there's no layout. And also the font, fact that there's no real layout and no thought about the branding. And as we know here, branding is such an important part of user experience.
And just one thing that's coming to my mind real quick. Sorry to interrupt, Picha.
Sure.
Anybody who's watching this and who's working on a new design and is wanting to get feedback, there is this new WP feedback community where you can upload a free plugin to your website and then use that plugin to take a screenshot, upload that to the network, and then get feedback from everybody in the network. So that is a super cool thing that might be helpful if that's not your profession. I mean, we've shared Elementor right now, and this page is Elementor, and you can see that even with Elementor, it's not guaranteed to automatically turn out like designed by a professional. So just a thought that came to my mind for anybody who's looking to get feedback.
I also have a group, on Facebook. It's called Design for Geeks, where I also do this kind of thing, but without the. Anyway, there's various ways. There's many ways you can get. And also the thing is, so you've got today's top article. Clearly, you're churning out a lot of content. But is today's top article the best thing for you to have here? What does your user want? Again, I cannot stress enough how important it is to work out, first of all, who your users are and what they want and what what they want and what you want them, where you want them to be. You have to find a sweet spot between what's best for you and what's best for them.
Would it be fair to say as well that image is, again, something that looks like it's an old-fashioned image? I also noticed someone else had said that it's got kind of a 2007 vibe to it as well.
Yeah. And then interestingly, the featured image is a different one. And I just think that this image here, to me, is completely California. We were having a conversation about that recently, actually, with someone who's saying that palm trees against the blue sky are a typical, it's California. It says California immediately. But then it's let down by the top. Can you see how this would be really cool? Even this sort of retro, Times New Roman, done in a retro way, could be good, but not with this top here, because apart from the fact that I would like to see it on mobile, actually, because we never do. We should start finding the time to look at the websites on the mobile as well, because I think they were. But anyway, it takes up a lot of real estate, and there's no need to have it everywhere. It's also quite distracting as well as needing to go down. So,
Okay. No, that's awesome. Well, thank you, Jeffrey, for submitting that to us as well live. So what I would suggest is if you and your friends want some live feedback, then throw it in the comments next time as well, because there could be a chance and an opportunity for us to jump on that. So just to really recap as well for Jeffrey, obviously we were really impressed with things like the load time, but definitely look at the CDN issue. Jeffrey did mention that this is going to be monetized in the future, so obviously we would also recommend that you look at getting your tags, building your audience, all that sort of stuff all set up as well, and make sure that that's working, but you're still getting that good rate. And also Peter was recommending things like make sure that header looks a bit more designed for a start off, and also consider alternative fonts. I was just looking at Google Fonts as a quick example, and Merriweather would instantly look gorgeous compared to this font, and it still gives you that vibe for the people that you're looking for. But also look at the imagery you're using, make sure you don't oversaturate those images, etc., and also pick images that perhaps look a little bit more modern and maybe a bit more enticing, but also keep that consistency going through there as well. So for example, today's top article has a picture of a clock and then goes through to something completely different. So that wraps that one up. Remember as well, folks, you can follow Haley. She got an amazing profile over on Instagram. It's A Lovely Planet. That was the first website that we looked at. And also, if you're watching this on a replay, feel free to put your own comments and your own thoughts and feedback as well as to what we were talking about. Do you agree with us? Do you disagree with us? And if so, why? Or what would you also recommend to Haley? Because I'm sure she's going to be coming through here later. And also, again, for Jeffrey's website as well, again, pop those comments in there if you would like to share your thoughts for Jeffrey, because I'm sure he'll be checking those ones out as well. So, folks, yes, Peter.
Also, don't forget that you can also... you should also submit your URLs to the Cloudways form, which I'm sure will be in the comments somewhere, or we'll put it if it isn't yet, for a chance to be the total protagonist of this monthly hour with us.
Indeed. Also, folks, don't forget you can find us in the Cloudways Facebook group. We're in there every day. We get involved in the conversations. You can also tag us and ask us questions. We will happily help you out where we can. So all that's left for us to do is very quickly tell you how to connect with us. Jan?
Yep.
Wherever you are.
I have this Facebook group. It's called WP Mastery, and that's the best way to hit me up.
Peter?
Facebook group called Design for Geeks. Please do join.
And finally, you can connect with me on Agency Trailblazer and join us again in the Cloudways group. That's where you'll find all three of us rocking in there. So all that's left for us to do is to do the cheesy wave again, like we did last time, until they tell us